Like I was a bit torn. Like I didn't realize, did Finn win the last one?
Finn did not win the last one. No, all of their contestants were on previous episodes, but did not win. And so that's
okay. Because I was like, if he won last time, I was like, because I was torn between him and Jake.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, Liam, like, it just lost too much real estate at the beginning for me to say that's a good call. But like, yeah, the other, like, I was torn between the two, but like, yeah, I think Finn having done what, like 1 month of cold calling.
Pretty much. Yeah. When he came on the show for the first time, he was new to the space entirely.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's good. It's good. It's nice.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, we're officially in the debrief portion, as you can tell from the cool sign. I guess, on this show, we learn a lot, not only about, SDR tactics, cold calling tactics, but also who these people are in the space that are actually, like yourself, being underdogs, right? Sharing wisdom around. And we like to peel back and learn a little bit about their journey. So I kind of want to ask you, Giulio, how did you first get into sales? What made you want to really get into cold calling and have such a passion for it?
When I was a kid, I was saying when I'm older, I want to be a cold caller, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Said no one ever. No, it's the old tale. I fell into sales. I was looking for jobs in HR, so I went into recruitment, and then on my first day, I realized we were gonna do sales, and so I did that's how I started. I started 11 years ago now. 12. At the time, like, it wasn't LinkedIn or emails. You just called people.
You cold call.
It was simple. There was nothing else. So it was. I had the end set, picking it up like this, so yeah, it's a quite common story.
Yeah, absolutely. Some people, what they say is they fell into it, right? And that is the majority of it. But once you fall into it, you kind of fall in love with it in a way. At least for people who still are in sales.
Yes. I think I've realized that what I like about sales is that it's an entrepreneurial job, right? As in, you kind of control your earnings. You got to control a lot of things, and I just quite like the contact with people, and at the same time, like, when you do things well, you feel you're actually delivering quality as well. So there's a lot of different reasons why sales is a good job. It's stressful, but
completely.
I was a waiter before that. That's way worse. So
there's probably some overlaps from like the service industry and sales. I mean, at the end of the day, it's both like customer service, right? You're trying to sell yourself, sell a product. If you're a waiter, you're trying to sell a nice bottle of wine, right? So
yeah, it's also the fact that I think you're used to like dealing with people, and it's a tough job anyway. They're both quite hard.
Absolutely. And I mean, people see you all around LinkedIn. I know you're on TikTok now, which is awesome. They see you, the smile, the Italian accent, the gold vest. How did all come to fruition? What made you one day decide, like, hey, I want to put on a gold vest. I want to get out there, start sharing my messages, sharing my methodologies. What went into that?
I mean, look, when I was doing recruitment, I became one of the leaders in the company, and the part I liked the most was training the new people, the entry level. And plus, like, I'm an Italian that moved to the UK and then learned English. Like, I quite like the idea that sales is an equalizer, and it helps you like overcome whatever life is bringing your way. So I was a son of nurses, and then ended up making quite good money. So I kind of wanted to do this again when I started my own business. So training the underdogs. That's why I focus on the SDRs, or anyway, junior recruiters, etc. And I think the gold vest and the TikTok, I realized that the white headphones, I think, is where it started. I just realized that there's so much of the same that it's always better to stand out. And it starts with a good opener and a cold call, etc. So that's where it all came together. And so my color are yellow and blue. So I was like, you know what, blue vest is boring. I'm going to get a golden one. And that's how it went.
I love it. I love the piece about the underdogs, because you're right. SDRs, BDRs, whatever you want to call them, they're out there busting their asses, right? Just trying to get more conversations, more meetings, whatnot. They are the true underdogs. And at the end of the day, you need to be a knife, right? You need to cut through the noise. You need to be creative. And I think you embody that wonderfully. Maybe I should ask you for advice for how I can be more creative and stand out amongst the crowd. But sorry, you're saying something?
Yeah, I would say your Italian blood is already helping.
That's right. That's right. It's the hair and the eyebrows. Yeah. No, I'm kidding.
Don't worry. I've got the eyebrows. The hair is going. So.
I did want to ask you one question in particular about underdog selling and also cold call wiki, because I know that's something that you've recently just started. I want to give the audience, an understanding of all the different resources that are out there for them, if they are SDRs or even SDR leadership. And so could you kind of explain, to me and to the audience, like, what is cold call wiki? What is SDR selling? What do you do there? How can you help them?
Look, the cold calling wiki hit me like a couple of weeks ago because I've realized, like one of my coaches was talking about getting a lead magnet out.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would tell me, do a course. And I was like, everyone is bloody doing a course.
Yeah.
And so I took a leaf out of Ormoz's pay book and said, you know what, I already had my Notions page where I put all of my knowledge that I've been piling up over the last years. I would call out to open, objection handle. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to do something disruptive. And instead of charging, I'm just going to release this for free.
Give it for free.
And so like I literally put a weekend, started tidying it up. And then I published the beta version on Tuesday. Yeah. And I already had like over 200 people like checking it out. And then the logic is at the end of the month, I'm going to publish it's like a Notions page built as a Wikipedia. All it has is literally everything you could need, from videos, infographics, etc. So that if someone wants to learn on their own, they can just go there. That's my idea behind it.
I love it. Yeah, it's kind of like it's a free resource. It's like a tutorial for first-time SDRs. People like in Finn's position a couple months back could have gone on there and just learn exactly what they need, right?
It's the logic that like is literally you'll find. I wouldn't say it's just entry level necessarily, because it's what I do. Like it's literally some of my calls are there. So like you could go to quite a higher level. It's probably not for the masters of cold calling, but I think beginner, intermediate for sure. And it's more the logic that the best salespeople are self-starters. Yeah. So they can go through that and they can have a resource. Because right now, if you Google cold calling tips, honestly, you get HubSpot advice, which is SEO optimized content from a company that doesn't even do cold calling. Yeah. Right? So yeah, that's why I wanted to put something out that is more practical, and tangible.
Yeah, and they can learn at their own speed. They can learn whenever they want for free, which is great. Yeah, and speaking of learning, you put a lot of I can tell you put a lot of time into the different types of coaching advice that you put out there, whether it's LinkedIn or TikTok or anywhere out there on this net, social media and everything. So I want to ask you, and for the audience as well, when SDRs are first starting out and they're looking to gain more confidence on the phones, what should they be doing really?
Well, look, this is the same advice I also give the B2B clients I have. Obviously, look, you can do the role plays. You can do there's some good tech out there now that you can practice. So that's obviously useful. Having a good script, all these things are great. But I also compare them to, it's like trying to learn boxing by reading a book about it. Yeah. And there's no way around it. You need to be punched in the face. And that's as sad as it is. So my advice would be to, at the very beginning, practice with the lower value account or the higher risk, the one that no one cares about, right? Even in the company. That's what I do with B2B. It's like you start with your C, D level accounts, where even if they don't do a good cold call, they're going to be okay. And then at that point, they're also not scared because then there's nothing to lose, right? They're not even meant to book the meeting. And the first 2 weeks should be really just about having as many conversations and making as many mistakes as possible. That's the two major things: mistakes and conversations, because that's where you learn out what to do.
I agree fully. I mean, velocity and quantity in the beginning is that's what helped me, and that's what helps a lot of the more successful SDRs that we see out there. Is that they are hungry in the beginning to have all those conversations, and they know they're going to have mistakes. They know they're going to get rejection. It's part of the job, right? But that's what builds up the confidence. Now, would you prefer to have these let's say, you know, a newer SDR comes into a new organization, you give them the lower tiered accounts. Do you tell them that they're lower tiered, or do you tell them to
I
work?
would, yeah.
Yeah.
I would be very transparent. I would tell her, look, you go and you just blow stuff up there, right?
Yeah.
Make mistakes. It doesn't really matter what you do, as long as you're just learning the phone. I'm talking about very junior level SDR, right? Where he's going for a training program. Because obviously, if you hired as a 2+ year SDR and you're meant to hit quota, then that's not what you do.
Yes.
They're meant to have done cold calling already and be good at it.
Yes.
Right. So I would say if you got training program and you're looking to cut your teeth, you just go and again, what you're focusing on is doing that. And the craziest part is that you probably still book meetings because your attachment to outcome is 0.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, who is it? Josh Braun, who says that all the time. You know, what is it? Detach from the outcome, right? Just let things happen and get out there and just try things out. Experiment.
Which is easier. Look, whenever I say this, I'm like, it's way easier said than done. It's like telling someone try to relax.
Exactly.
Like, what? Try to do something. No, but yeah. So like, I think this is why it works so well in that scenario, because if you set expectations low from the beginning, then the person is a lot more relaxed and they'll learn a lot better.
Yeah. And in terms of the actual like cold calling outreach that these new SDRs will be doing, even the reps you saw today, right? In your mind, what do you think is the perfect cold call, or does that not exist?
Look, I don't think the perfect cold call exists in the sense that being a conversation, it can go so many different ways. And I also don't think the perfect cold call is a one when you book the meeting, because there's a lot of people that push prospects into meetings that then never get sat, or push prospects into meeting without problems, which means the organization is paying a commission for something that's actually not going to work. I think that the best cold calls are the ones that are focused on the prospect and the problems. And if these two things are there, there's a very high percentage chance that it's going to be a good call.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine, I mean, a meeting that you schedule with a prospect that is not relevant and you don't give them the challenge, like you don't ask them about the challenge, why should they come to the meeting, right?
Well, look, the thing is depending from the company you go into. So maybe this would be probably less in the US because there's people don't have time, right? But in Europe, you'll find tire kickers, right?
Yeah.
You'll probably find someone that's happy to sit a meeting, explore some, especially tech stuff, right?
Yeah.
Let's see what they've got to do. Yeah. Or sometimes what happens is that you got the SDRs over promising. Oh, we'll fix this. I actually had this from a company, an American company, a data provider that I won't mention, but the SDR on LinkedIn was telling me like, oh yeah, we can do this price, we can do that, etc. And none of it was true.
Yeah.
And it's just very awkward situation.
Yeah, I mean, I remember doing that when I was first starting out as an SDR because I didn't know any better. You know, I didn't know that you weren't supposed to overpromise because I just wanted to get I wanted to get a meeting in the door. I was just hungry, right? And it happens to many people. I mean, I don't know if you have strong opinions here. I think the only thing you can do to kind of offset that is enablement at the end of the day, like making sure these SDRs know like what booking a meeting really is. It's not just somebody showing up in a Zoom call and you showing up a platform. It's you actually are going to address these people's pains and try to fix them.
I think that there's a few ways to skin the cat there in the sense that it's also, I think a lot of the problem is the targeting, right?
Yeah.
If you're targeting only on booking the meeting, but not on the revenue close, which I mean, I understand you have to do because revenue will take longer and you want to give them like midterm, like a short-term motivation as well.
Yeah.
But a lot of this starts from the target, what a meeting is, or how much pressure you're putting on them to book meetings right away. So there's a lot of different things in there that could be made better. And I don't blame the SDR at the beginning for pushing something through. Obviously, if you're an SDR that's been there for quite a while, then yes. I think in the first 3 months, this is what I'm saying, you do all the mistakes in the world, right? Because that's what you should be doing. If you do it later, then you're doing it because you know you shouldn't. And that's different.
Exactly. There was one more thing I did want to ask you, Giulio, before we head out here. And it's the whole idea of rejection. Rejection is going to happen regardless. It happens more in sales, obviously, but it happens regardless in lifetime. And you have a very interesting message that you always put on LinkedIn, which is you are on a plan. You're on a road to get to 3,000 objections.
This is the counter is right here. This is how many are left.
What does it say? 19.
It says 1,965. I broke the 1,000 this week. So yeah.
What is that? Can you explain to me and to the audience, like how did that come to mind? What is that? Why are you tracking objections?
Look, I did a lot of cold calling before I started as a sales trainer, but I did a lot of it in Italy, and I wasn't. It's just way easier. People want to talk in Italy, as you probably know, right? Yeah. So when I switched to Anglo-Saxon markets, I had to adapt. And the way I thought about it is like, that 10,000 hours idea.
Yes.
Right. You need to master it.
Yes.
And I thought I'm going to give myself a target of something that's very tangible. So I started with 10,000 calls, but then I realized that 10,000 dials are very easy to make. It just takes no time. So I was like, I want target rejection, and I know I'm going to learn things along the way. And that's when I started. And then I just started recording the journey. I'm going to do this many rejections. And then I started doing a weekly post. And then it just kind of gave me a purpose that I can never stop. So every week I know I've got to do like at least 50 rejections. That's my minimum target. And this is like, and it just makes you number to it. Yeah. Now, I also keep here a track of how many days in a row I've been cold calling. I'm on 25 right now because Christmas was in the way. But like, it just gives you that consistency in that target to keep an eye on.
And do you also cold call during the weekends as well? Or do you skip
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, but also because I do mainly, I cold call B2B, so that would be a bit awkward.
Yeah, exactly. I would agree. I've tried it before. It didn't end well.
Exactly.
No, but I love the message, and I love the philosophy. I'd be so curious to see how organizations would change if they added that as a KPI for their reps. Like, you have to do 100 calls today, but you also need to get 10 rejections today.
Look, the one thing I would say, if there's a big enterprise listening to this, is that what I got wrong at the beginning is that I was doing that, and then the target I give myself now is I need to handle at least 2 objections and ask one last question. Because otherwise you can get stuck into someone just not resonating with the problems, and then you disqualify, you move on, and that's not good. So now I gotta dig a little bit deeper. Absolutely. But I think it's useful.
Yeah, I think it is as well. Yeah. Well, Giulio, it's been an incredible pleasure having you on episode 6 now of Get Pitched. For everybody watching, make sure to connect with him on LinkedIn. The links will be below. And stay up to date with all things cold call, and stay up to date with his journey to 3,000 objections. Giulio, per tutti quelli che stanno guardando ora, c'è qualcosa che vuoi dire? Per loro? Give some shout outs.
Per gli italiani? Italiani funziona anche per voi il cold calling, quindi mi raccomando.
Make sure you put in your cold calls, guys. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thanks again for being here, and we'll see everybody next time.
Thanks for inviting me. Cheers, mate.